Hi everyone. A couple of weeks ago I did a video defending the show Roseanne because it was under attack from a sketch on Late Night with Seth Meyers for being racist, and I'd seen that TV show that they were talking about, that episode, and what I pointed out in that video was it wasn't racist, it was highlighting racism and bigotry, and I think it did a really good job of it. And an attack on that show for being racist was just incorrect. It just wasn't. I stay by it. And it didn't stop in light of recent events with Roseanne. People saying I've lost all integrity because she's clearly racist. I never defended Roseanne for being, or Roseanne Barr for being racist. I never said she wasn't. What I said was the show wasn't racist. Didn't stop people saying I've lost all integrity and I must feel terrible now as in light of recent events. I don't. I stand by it totally. The show wasn't racist. Roseanne, though, clearly is racist. She sent this tweet out. I'm not going to actually cover this story. I want to cover something else. But she sent this tweet out saying Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes had a baby equals VJ. And she was clearly referencing Valerie Jarrett, who was an aide to President Obama and is black or mixed race. I don't know, to be honest. But the tweet was racist. And she rightly, in my opinion, after going on a series of tweets that night, even attacking Chelsea Clinton, saying that she'd married George Soros' nephew, which just isn't true. And then she apologised, said she was leaving Twitter, and now she's come back and she's tweeting all sorts of stuff. And she said that she was on Ambien and that's why she did it. And to be fair to her, by the way, there are many stories of people who took Ambien, did stuff during the night that they can't remember. Again, I'm not defending Roseanne. That's a clearly racist tweet. She's clearly a racist and bigoted woman. There's no defence for it. This is a tweet she sent out in 2013. Susan Rice is a man with big swinging 8 balls. It's like you if you compare anybody of colour with apes or monkeys or orangutans or anything like that, you're a racist bigot. That's who you are, and that's clearly who Roseanne has been for a long, long time. And I'm never going to defend that. There is no defence of that. I'll defend the show for being racist because it wasn't. Clearly. What I want to cover here, though, is the press and the media. Not just the cable media, but also the print media. I'm going to put up here a series of articles, and they're just a selection from The Hill. Now, remember, The Hill is one of the top political news media outlets in America, possibly the world. I go to it all the time because they do print a lot of factual stuff. I counted last night, and in 2 days since Roseanne sent that tweet out, they had written 43 articles on it. 43. That's astounding. And that was last night. I'm sure they've written more since, at the time of me recording this video. And then there's the cable media. Let's look at this graph. I mean, remember, this is coming out of the time where it's reported that actually there were 4,600 deaths in Puerto Rico from Hurricane Maria, when it was previously reported that they were a way lower figure. If I find the information, I'll put it up on the screen for you. But you can see here from this graph, Fox News covered the fact that there were actually 4,600 deaths from Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico. 48 seconds. An hour and 56, or nearly 2 hours on Roseanne in the same time frame. CNN, 12 minutes 3 seconds on the Puerto Rico deaths, being way higher than they had originally been reported as. Nearly 5 hours on on Roseanne. I'm sure it's above that now, because this is a graph from Media Matters that I found yesterday. So it's obviously clearly over 5 hours. They're still talking about it now. This is 3 days after she sent that tweet out. I'm not saying it shouldn't be covered, but should it be covered so much more than Hurricane Maria, where 4,600, remember, Americans died? MSNBC, 21 minutes 18 seconds. on Hurricane Maria deaths. 3.5 hours, more than 3.5 hours on Roseanne having her show cancelled. There's something seriously wrong there. And it goes back to the point I say on my videos a lot. The cable media, the corporate media, the establishment media, state media, whatever you want to call it, any outlets that are affiliated with large companies, which is over 90%, I think, of your media in America, and I think it's over 70 or 80% in the UK, is controlled by such a small amount of large companies. They don't care about giving you the facts. They just don't care. They only care about giving you what distracts you from the real truth. It's some shiny keys over here. Look at the shiny thing. Look at the shiny thing. And really, anything of importance, they don't report on half as much. Not even close to, in most cases that I've just shown, like 10% as much as the frivolous things that get clicks. They only care about making money and distracting you from what's real. Now, I had somebody ask me the other day, why don't I do videos on Jordan Peterson and Ben Shapiro and Timmy Lauren and Ann Coulter and all these people who I could spend hours just ripping apart their arguments. But what's the point? Yes, it would get videos like that would get way more views than the stuff I do on Syria or Gaza or Yemen. They would get way more views, but I don't do it because, as far as I'm concerned, that's not what I cover. Is way more important than crazy right wingers who have got a platform just as cheerleaders for the Republican Party. However, you can see there with that graph that the cable news, they're just as bad. They are just as bad as these people who are just cheerleaders. To ram my point home, just take a look at this graph. Time cable news spent on Santa Fe shooting by network. Obviously the first day, this was big news. Look at the drop-off with CNN there. Nearly 10 hours on the first day. Was that, about an hour on the second day? On the second day after Roseanne's show was cancelled because of a stupid, racist and bigoted tweet that is indefensible. She's obviously indefensible as a racist. They spent probably more time covering Roseanne on the second day after she had her show cancelled than they did on the second day after, 10 school students, were shot? I don't even know how many school shootings now there have been in America this year. I've lost count, I've got to be honest. That's the drop-off. Look at that. Within 5-6 days, it's totally out of the news. I bet you they're still going to be covering Roseanne in 3 days' time. I bet you they are. That just goes to show just how useless the cable news and the corporate news and the establishment news are for actually giving you what's important. That's not what they're doing. They're doing whatever it is to get the clicks and the attention to say, look over here, look at this shiny object, while the important things like Puerto Rico deaths are covered minimally. Or in one case, another story that's came out about the same time as the Roseanne story, I think it's Mint Press News, I'll show it over my shoulder, where Trump is actually giving Syria orders to not attack a part of their own territory where terrorists are. So Trump is actually defending terrorists. He's telling Syria not to kill terrorists in their own country. Have you seen that in cable news? Have CNN run breaking news on that, alerts on that? Or have they been talking about Trump's tweets and Roseanne? It's astounding. This is why we need to support independent media as much as we can. If you can't afford to buy us a coffee or a beer each month, don't. Keep your money. We don't want to take money off people who are struggling. But if you can, please support us. whatever your favourite independent media outlet is, because we have actually got integrity. We'll do one video or maybe two videos on this Roseanne story, and then that's it. But you won't see us doing report over and over again on what she's blaming for it, or it's Ambien, or the fact that she's going to be on Joe Rogan on Friday, or anything like that. We don't. We'll give you the facts, and then we'll move on to what's important. You know, my next videos are on the Department of Work and Pensions, the Skripals, and Yemen. That's what I'm going to be covering today. What are the cable media going to be covering? More Roseanne? I think you know the answer to that. I feel really terrible here for a lot of people. Not the cable news or the Hill or the print media. I don't. Obviously, they're useless for actually giving you information. They're great at distracting you from what's important. That's officially what their job seems to be, looking at the graphs I've just shown you. I feel bad for lots of people, though. I feel bad for Valerie Jarrett, who's obviously been on the receiving end of a racist tweet by somebody who is obviously unhinged. I heard Jen Huger say that Roseanne had actually had a car crash when she was 16 and 17, and her personality radically changed after that. So in a way, I feel bad for Roseanne, because maybe she can't help these things that she's doing, and she needs professional help, obviously, because she seems to me to be mentally ill. And that's, you know, so I do feel bad for that. I don't condone the racism, because that is obviously racist, and she's got a history of being racist and bigoted. I feel bad for anybody who's obviously been on the receiving end of the racism, of that racism, or racism from anybody. I feel bad for all the families in Puerto Rico who haven't had their voice heard after Trump and his administration just didn't act as quick as they did in the Texas hurricane, for instance. I feel bad the fact that the amount of deaths had gone underreported for so long. And everybody was saying the deaths are way higher than this. Wasn't reported in the cable news media, wasn't reported really in the print media. They all reported it as much lower figures, which were the government figures. So I feel bad for all those families. I feel bad for the families of the kids who have been shot at school these years. That, you know, the cable news just seem to spend more time covering a TV star losing her show than they do the fallout from an obvious gun problem in America and mental health problem as well. And also I feel bad for everybody on the show Roseanne who isn't racist, who lost their jobs. Sarah Gilbert, I believe, worked tirelessly to get that show back up again. And now, through no fault of her own, all of that work has been undone because of a racist bigot. Please support independent media, because you can't rely on the cable media and the corporate and establishment media to give you the facts. We do. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, please subscribe, and please click the bell down there so you get a notification of when I drop further videos. Otherwise, YouTube will hide the video from you. Yes, they have admitted that they do that. Also, we're facing an absolute onslaught in independent media from the establishment at the moment, including YouTube. I don't make any money from YouTube whatsoever. I rely totally on the audience for me to continue doing this. So if you can afford to send me $2, $3, $5, whatever it is that you can afford through Patreon, again, the link is down there, I will be eternally grateful, and it'll allow me to keep giving you the truth and cut through the propaganda and the BS that we get from the corporate and establishment media. If you can't afford to do it, please share the video as wide as you can. Talk to your friends and family about the issues that I and other channels on YouTube who are independent raise. Thanks very much for your support. We have to fight back against this. Till next time, peace and take care.